AITA for interrupting my son's date so he could pick up his little sister? I'm a single father, 43M, to 2 children, Max, 17M, and Liza, 8F. I usually have Liza in after-school clubs so that I'm able to pick her up after work. However, last evening I was given some work that had me working overtime. I did try my best to negotiate out of it, but my manager told me that the assignment was to be completed by that night, so I just did. It was nearing towards 6 p.m. and I just knew I wouldn't be able to make it to Liza, so I called Max and asked him to pick her up. He responded by saying that he couldn't because he was on a date with his GF for their 6-month anniversary. I told him that I understood, but that I really needed him to get Liza and that I'd make it up to him for interrupting. He just angrily turned off the phone, and I thought that while he was mad he had just decided to pick her up. 30 minutes later I receive a call from Liza's school on where I was because the school was close to closing down and no one was there. Luckily one of Liza's friend's mother said they'd drop her off and that was all good. However, I don't really like it when Liza goes with that particular friend. Not because of the friend but because of the mother. She has this habit of asking maths questions in the car that she knows Liza is unable to answer and then criticizes her over it. It's all just very mean. I called Max and asked him where he was and that he was in big trouble when he got home. He just told me that he was busy and to leave him the hell alone. He came home at around 9 p.m. I told him he was grounded and that he was not allowed to use the car for a good 3 weeks. At that he got all mad and said that it wasn't his fault I was failing as a parent and unable to afford someone to collect Liza. Just want some insight on this situation. Was I being too harsh and AITA for interrupting his date? Edit. This is the 3rd time I've asked Max to pick up his sister in the span of a year and a half. Some people are asking why I don't have a nanny. Money is tight. Dad was at work. He didn't deliberately ruin son's date. It was an exceptional work-related situation and he needed son to step up as a family member to pick up his sis. It seems dad does his best to let his son be free, with enrolling his daughter in all sorts of activities to keep her busy until he finishes work. Son could have stepped up this one. NTA dad. And good thing you grounded your son for his entitled behavior. NTA. Reddit loves the idea of never having an ounce of responsibility toward anyone but themselves. So they'll try to call you out. But you were 100% in the right. Tell him you could afford to pay someone to pick her up if you didn't pay for a second car. He interrupted a 6-month anniversary of 2 teenagers that was taking place in the afternoon. It's not as serious as some of y'all are making it out to be. Some of you apparently grew up with the luxury of not having to be a team player and help out your family occasionally. My parents provided myself and my siblings with cars, gas money. But the deal was we occasionally helped out and ran errands for them. Isn't that part of being a part of a family unit? Op said he barely asks his son to do this. It's not like he's taking advantage of him. Also, if I would have spoke to my parents the way the son did, I would have lost my car so fast. NTA. Info. Has this happened before, my guy? The boss is the here. NTA Max lives under your roof and uses your car. I think it is pretty reasonable to ask him to pick up his sister in a situation like this. I also don't think you are too harsh with his punishment. He literally ignored your request. He didn't even say he wasn't going to do it so that you could possibly try to find someone else to. And then the attitude after telling him that he was grounded? I'd add another week. NTA. Max is being a petulant teenager. And he is a teenager. So there's that. Family emergencies take precedence over all And a one-time aberration does not make you a failing parent. You are the boss. Max still lives under your roof. And he's a minor. Your reasonable request in the face of an emergency requires his compliance. In fact, even if he weren't a minor, as long as he's living under your roof, rent-free, you have the right to demand his compliance in family emergencies. Yes, for his non-compliance and blatant disrespect, I think a grounding of 3 weeks is appropriate. He doesn't like it? He can have his suitcase waiting by the door at midnight on his 18th birthday. I haven't seen anything about Op potentially letting his employer know that he is happy to stay late for the rush work job as long as he has his kids taken care of. This puts the burden back on his employer, who is expecting an employee with kids who aren't fully independent to adjust his personal schedule at the drop of a hat. We need to quit normalizing this employer mentality of salaried means you are at my beck and call. 247,365. NTA. 3 times in a year and a half. This was a last-minute thing. You need your job to support them. It can't be helped. I don't understand why Op assumed his son would be picking her up after that phone call though. NTA. It's one of those situations that pops up sometimes. It's unfortunate, but sometimes unplanned emergencies happen in families. I get your son's frustration, but he still should have gotten his sister. NTA. It's a privilege you give your son a car to use. It's not like he's babysitting either, just picking her up. That's the cost of having access to a vehicle you pay for. He sounds entitled. Sounds to me like your boss is the family obligations come first. NTA. I don't think you made an unreasonable request. Families have to help each other out. And I think it's wild your son thought it was okay to leave his little sister waiting for a ride home when he could have picked her up, dropped her off, and resumed his date. Plus, you also offered to make it up to him. It was a small sacrifice to make on his part, and his response was uncalled for. Money is tight. Max mentioned how you failed because you can't afford someone to collect Liza. To stop failing as a parent, you need more money so Max can forget using the car. Good job, Op. NTA. NTA. But your son was. Obviously it's inconvenient, but not something you planned, and you did everything you could to work it around. He definitely shouldn't have responded that way. And I fully support your choice to take the car for a little while. NTA. The fact that he would ignore you and speak to you the way he has is proof you haven't been firm enough. He shouldn't get the car privileges back until he properly apologizes and learns how to talk to you and help out when needed. Let that take as long as it takes. It could take a year, and then he can move out if he is so independent. Did I mention your wallet should be closed to all unnecessary items until that apology hits? Oh yeah. This is the 3rd time in a year and a half you've had to ask him. He has the gall to act like you're being irresponsible. He left his 8-year-old sister alone when it may well have been getting dark, and you, presumably, wouldn't have been able to get there time. He left an 8-year-old on her own, to leave the premises on her own, and go about a location she may not be too familiar with. I'm the same age as your son. If I had a little sister or brother her age, I wouldn't necessarily drive, as I don't have a license yet, but I would march my way down to that school and walk with her back home. I get 6 months in a relationship can be exciting, but FFS. He couldn't be arsed to lift a finger and tell his partner, hey, my dad won't be able to pick up my little sister from school, so I have to. I won't be long. You can wait here or come with me, or even just, why no, walk? Maybe it's teenager hormones, but reading this made me fume. An unexpected incident doesn't make you a bad parent. This isn't your fault. You had no way of predicting something would happen. Your kid's just being cruel. That being said, it might be a good idea to find someone other than the woman who picked your daughter up in the end, because asking your 8-year-old maths questions and then reprimanding her for getting an answer wrong is something we call deeply damaging. Who you trust would be able to pick up your daughter in lieu of yourself. Still, I want to reiterate, you're not a bad parent. Your son's just being unjustly cruel. NTA. He could have taken his girlfriend with him to pick up his sister. It would have been an opportunity for him to show her how responsible he is as an older brother. There's an absurd idea floating around that ever asking older kids to babysit younger kids is parentification. It's not. It's totally normal for older kids to take care of younger kids sometimes. As long as you're not taking up his entire life with child care duties. Asking him to help out once in a while is really not a problem.
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. Epic Haircast is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.